Hello again. This is day 35 of our Reading Through the Bible Together in a Year series. Today we're covering Leviticus, starting in chapter 22 and going through chapter 22, verse 34. So we're splitting 25 into today and tomorrow. But where we have been is talking about the way that Yahweh wants Israel to be set apart from the nations around it, right? So as we start today, we're going to see some more of these sacrificial aspects and certain laws associated specifically with the priests that are supposed to set them and the nation of Israel apart from the land of the Canaanites or the Egyptians. But today we also get into the festivals, so I'm excited for that. Let's see how it goes. And Yahweh said to Moshe, "Give orders to Aaron and to his sons to keep themselves separate from the holy things of the children of Israel, which they give to me, and not to make my holy name common. I am Yahweh. Say to them, if any man of all your seed through all your generations, being unclean, comes near the holy things which the children of Israel make holy to Yahweh, he will be cut off from before me. I am Yahweh. No man of the seed of Aaron who is a leper, or who has a flow from his body, may take of the holy food until he is clean. And any man touching anything which is unclean because of the dead, or any man whose seed goes from him, or anyone touching any unclean thing which goes flat on the earth, or someone by whom he may be made unclean in any way whatsoever, any person touching any such unclean thing will be unclean until evening, and may not take of the holy food until his flesh has been bathed in water. And when the sun has gone down, he will be clean, and after that he may take part in the holy food, because it is his bread. That which comes to a natural death, or is attacked by beasts, he may not take as food, for it will make him unclean. I am Yahweh. So then, let them keep what I have put into their care, for fear that sin may come on them because of it, so causing their death because they have made it common. I am Yahweh, who makes them holy. No outside person may take of the holy food, or one living as a guest in the priest's house, or a servant working for payment. But any person for whom the priest has given money to make him his may take of it with him, and those who come to birth in his house may take of his bread. And if the daughter of a priest is married to an outside person, she may not take of the holy things which are lifted up as offerings. But if a priest's daughter is a widow, or parted from her husband, and has no child, and has come back to her father's house as when she was a girl, she may take of her father's bread. But no outside person may do so. And if a man takes the holy food in error, he will have to give the holy thing back to the priest, with the addition of a fifth part. And they may not make common the holy things which the children of Israel give to Yahweh, so causing sin to come on them when they take their holy things for food. I am Yahweh, who makes them holy. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Say to Aaron and to his sons and to all the children of Israel, if any man of the children of Israel or of another nation living in Israel makes an offering given because of an oath or freely given to Yahweh for a burnt offering, so that it may be pleasing to Yahweh, let him give a male without any mark, from among the oxen or the sheep or the goats. But anything which has a mark you may not give. It will not make you pleasing to Yahweh. And whoever makes a peace offering to Yahweh in payment of an oath or as a free offering from the herd or the flock, if it is to be pleasing to Yahweh, let it be free from any mark or damage. Anything blind or broken or damaged or having any disease or any mark on it may not be offered to Yahweh. You may not make an offering of it by fire on the altar to Yahweh. An ox or a lamb which has more or less than its natural parts may be given as a free offering, but it will not be taken in payment of an oath. An animal which has its genitals damaged or crushed or broken or cut may not be offered to Yahweh. Such a thing may not be done anywhere in your land. And from one who is not an Israelite, you may not take any of these for an offering to Yahweh, for they are unclean. There is a mark on them, and Yahweh will not be pleased with them. And Yahweh said to Moshe, When an ox or a sheep or a goat is given in birth, let it be with its mother for 7 days. And after the 8th day it may be taken as an offering made by fire to Yahweh. A cow or a sheep may not be put to death with its young on the same day. And when you make an offering of praise to Yahweh, make it in a way which is pleasing to him. Let it be used for food on the same day. Do not keep any part of it until the morning. I am Yahweh. So then, keep my orders and do them. I am Yahweh. And do not make my holy name common, so that it may be kept holy by the children of Israel. I am Yahweh, who makes you holy, who took you out of the land of Egypt, that I might be your God. I am Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Say to the children of Israel, These are the fixed feasts of Yahweh, which you will keep for holy meetings. These are my feasts. On 6 days work may be done, but the seventh day is a special day of rest, a time for worship. You may do no sort of work. It is a Shabbat to Yahweh wherever you may be living. These are the fixed feasts of Yahweh, the holy days of worship, which you will keep at their regular times. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at nightfall, is Yahweh's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread. For 7 days let your food be unleavened bread. On the first day you will have a holy meeting. You may do no sort of field work. And every day for 7 days you will give a burnt offering to Yahweh. And on the seventh day there will be a holy meeting. You may do no field work. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Say to the children of Israel, When you have come to the land which I will give you, and have got in the grain from its fields, take some of the first fruits of the grain to the priest, and let the grain be waved before Yahweh, so that you may be pleasing to him. On the day after Shabbat let it be waved by the priest. And on the day of the waving of the grain you are to give a male lamb of the first year, without any mark, for a burnt offering to Yahweh. And let the meal offering with it be 2/10 part of an ephah of the best meal mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh for a sweet smell. And the drink offering with it is to be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And you may take no bread or dry grain or new grain for food until the very day on which you have given the offering for your God. This is a rule forever through all your generations wherever you are living. And let 7 full weeks be numbered from the day after the Shabbat, the day when you give the grain for the wave offering. Let 50 days be numbered to the day after the 7th Shabbat. Then you are to give a new meal offering to Yahweh. Take from your houses 2 cakes of bread made of a 5th part of an ephah of the best meal, cooked with leaven, to be waved for first fruits to Yahweh. And with the bread take 7 lambs of the first year without any marks, and 1 ox and 2 male sheep, to be a burnt offering to Yahweh, with their meal offering and their drink offerings, an offering of a sweet smell made by fire to Yahweh. And you are to give 1 male goat for a sin offering, and 2 male lambs of the first year for peace offerings. And these will be waved by the priest, with the bread of the firstfruits for a wave offering to Yahweh, with the 2 lambs. They will be holy to Yahweh for the priest. And on the same day let it be given out that there will be a holy meeting for you. You may do no field work on that day. It is a rule forever through all your generations, wherever you are living. And when you get in the grain from your land, do not let all the grain at the edges of the field be cut, and do not take up the grain which has been dropped in the field. Let that be for the poor and for the man from another country. I am Yahweh your God. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Say to the children of Israel, In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, let there be a special day of rest for you, a day of memory marked by the blowing of horns, a meeting for worship. Do no field work, and give to Yahweh an offering made by fire. And Yahweh said to Moshe, The 10th day of this 7th month is the day for the taking away of sin. Let it be a holy day of worship. You are to keep from pleasure, and give to Yahweh an offering made by fire. And on that day you may do no sort of work, for it is a day of taking away sin, to make you clean before Yahweh your God. For any person, whoever he may be, who takes his pleasure on that day will be cut off from his people. And if any person, whoever he may be, on that day does any sort of work, I will send destruction on him from among his people. You may not do any sort of work. This is an order forever through all your generations, wherever you may be living. Let this be a Shabbat of special rest to you, and keep yourselves from all pleasure. On the 9th day of the month at nightfall, from evening to evening, let this Shabbat be kept. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Say to the children of Israel, On the 15th day of the 7th month, let the Feast of Tents be kept to Yahweh for 7 days. On the first day there will be a holy meeting. Do no field work. Every day for 7 days give an offering made by fire to Yahweh, and on the 8th day there is to be a holy meeting, when you are to give an offering made by fire to Yahweh. This is a special holy day. You may do no field work on that day. These are the fixed feasts of Yahweh, to be kept by you as holy days of worship, for making an offering by fire to Yahweh, a burnt offering, a meal offering, an offering of beasts, and drink offerings. Every one on its special day, in addition to the Shabbat of Yahweh, and in addition to the things you give and the oaths you make and the free offerings to Yahweh. But on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have got in all the fruits of the land, you will keep the feast of Yahweh for 7 days. The first day will be a Shabbat, and the 8th day the same. On the first day take the fruit of fair trees, branches of palm trees, and branches of thick trees, and trees from the riverside, and be glad before Yahweh for 7 days. And let this feast be kept before Yahweh for 7 days in the year. It is a rule forever from generation to generation. In the 7th month let it be kept. For 7 days you will be living in tents. All those who are Israelites by birth are to make tents their living places, so that future generations may keep in mind how I gave the children of Israel tents as their living places when I took them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your God. And Moshe made clear to the children of Israel the orders about the fixed feasts of Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Give orders to the children of Israel to give you clean olive oil for the light, so that a light may be burning at all times, outside the veil of the ark, in the tent of meeting. Let Aaron see that it is burning from evening until morning at all times before Yahweh. It is a rule forever through all your generations. Let Aaron put the lights in order on the support before Yahweh at all times, and take the best meal and make 12 cakes of it, a fifth part of an ephah in every cake, and put them in 2 lines, 6 in a line, on the holy table before Yahweh. And on the lines of cakes put clean, sweet-smelling spices for a sign on the bread, an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Every Shabbat day regularly, the priest is to put it in order before Yahweh. It is offered for the children of Israel, an agreement made forever. And it will be for Aaron and his sons. They are to take it for food in a holy place. It is the most holy of all the offerings made by fire to Yahweh, a rule forever. And a son of an Israelite woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel and had a fight with a man of Israel by the tents. And the son of the Israelite woman said evil against the holy name, with curses, and they took him to Moshe. His mother's name was Shelomit, the daughter of Dibri of the tribe of Dan. And they kept him shut up until a decision might be given by the mouth of Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Take the cursor outside the tent circle, and let all in whose hearing the words were said put their hands on his head, and let him be stoned by all the people. And say to the children of Israel, As for any man cursing God, his sin will be on his head. And he who says evil against the name of Yahweh will certainly be put to death. He will be stoned by all the people, the man who is not of your nation and one who is an Israelite by birth. Whoever says evil against the holy name is to be put to death. And anyone who takes another's life is certainly to be put to death. And anyone wounding a beast and causing its death will have to make payment for it, a life for a life. And if a man does damage to his neighbor, as he has done, let it be done to him, wound for wound, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Whatever damage he has done, let it be done to him. He who puts a beast to death will have to make payment for it. He who puts a man to death will himself be put to death. You are to have the same law for a man of another nation living among you as for an Israelite, for I am Yahweh, your God. And Moshe said these words to the children of Israel, and they took the man who had been cursing outside the tent circle and had him stoned. The children of Israel did as Yahweh gave orders to Moshe. And Yahweh said to Moshe on Mount Sinai, Say to the children of Israel, When you come into the land which I will give you, let the land keep a Shabbat to Yahweh. For 6 years put seed into your land, and for 6 years give care to your vines, and get in the produce of them. But let the 7th year be a Shabbat of rest for the land, a Shabbat to Yahweh. Do not put seed into your land, or have your vines cut. That which comes to growth of itself may not be cut, and the grapes of your uncared for vines may not be taken off. Let it be a year of rest for the land, and the Shabbat of the land will give food for you, and your manservant, and your womanservant, and those working for payment, and for those of another country who are living among you. And for your cattle and the beasts on all the land, all the natural increase of the land will be for food. And let 7 Shabbats of years be numbered to you, 7 times 7 years, even the days of 7 Shabbats of years, that is, 49 years. Then let the loud horn be sounded far and wide on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of taking away sin, let the horn be sounded through all your land. And let this 50th year be kept holy, and say publicly that everyone in the land is free from debt. It is the Jubilee, and every man may go back to his heritage and to his family. Let this 50th year be the Jubilee. No seed may be planted, and that which comes to growth of itself may not be cut, and the grapes may not be taken from the uncared for vines. For it is the Jubilee, and it is holy to you. Your food will be the natural increase of the field. In this year of Jubilee, let every man go back to his heritage. And in the business of trading goods for money, do no wrong to one another. Let your exchange of goods with your neighbors have relation to the number of years after the year of Jubilee, and the number of times the earth has given her produce. If the number of years is great, the price will be increased, and if the number of years is small, the price will be less, for it is the produce of a certain number of years which the man is giving you. And do no wrong one to another, but let the fear of your God be before you, for I am Yahweh your God. So keep my rules and my decisions and do them, and you will be safe in your land. And the land will give her fruit, and you will have food in full measure and be safe in the land. And if you say, where will our food come from in this 7th year, when we may not put in seed or get in the increase? Then I will send my blessing on you in the 6th year, and the land will give fruit enough for 3 years. And in the 8th year you will put in your seed and get your food from the old stores until the fruit of the 9th year is ready. No exchange of land may be forever, for the land is mine, and you are as my guests, living with me for a time. Wherever there is property in land, the owner is to have the right of getting it back. If your brother becomes poor and has to give up some of his land for money, his nearest relation may come and give back that which his brother has given up. And if he has no one to get it back for him, and later he himself gets wealth and has enough money to get it back, then let him take into account the years from the time when he gave it up, and make up the loss for the rest of the years to him who took it, and so get back his property. But if he is not able to get it back for himself, then it will be kept by him who gave a price for it until the year of Jubilee. And in that year it will go back to its first owner, and he will have his property again. And if a man gives his house in a walled town for money, he has the right to get it back for the space of a full year after he has given it up. And if he does not get it back by the end of the year, then the house and the town will become the property of him who gave the money for it, and of his children forever. It will not go from him in the year of Jubilee. But houses in small unwalled towns will be the same as property in the country. They may be got back, and they will go back to their owners in the year of Jubilee. But the houses and the towns of the Levites may be got back by the Levites at any time. And if a Levite does not give money to get back his property, his house in the town which was exchanged for money will come back to him in the year of Jubilee. For the houses of the towns of the Levites are their property among the children of Israel. But the land on the outskirts of their towns may not be exchanged for money, for it is their property forever. So here we get into the festivals, the Jewish festivals, the Israelite festivals, and they're all based on this concept of sevens, right? They're all on Sabbath days, which is the 7th day of the week, and a lot of them happen, and then there's 7 days of celebrating the festival. Or for example, the festival of weeks, right? You have Passover, and then you have 7 weeks, which each week has 7 days. So 7 times 7 until the festival of weeks, which we would call Pentecost. And there's the relation there between when Jesus dies in the New Testament, and then the apostles are gathering in the upper room on the day of Pentecost. That's the next celebration, 50 days after the Passover. So there's a lot of significance there. But these festivals are awesome and great, and have a lot to do with God reminding his people what he's done for them and what their past is all about. And a lot of them are still celebrated today by the Jewish communities. But the big one, which unfortunately we only got to read the first half of, is the Jubilee, which is just an amazing concept of debt forgiveness, where every 50 years everybody's stuff goes back to them, regardless of how much debt they were in. And that might be a controversial thought process for you, because all of the conversation right now politically about debt forgiveness and all of that stuff. But it seems pretty clear that God's opinion is that all of this belongs to me, and you're all guests in my land. And so, yes, you can work with each other, and when some of you fail, sell yourself to somebody else so that the land gets worked and people buy and sell and make exchanges and stuff. But in the year of Jubilee, everything gets reset. Everybody gets a new chance. Everybody gets a second chance, regardless of how far along or where they got. So it's very beautiful, totally radical. Even in today's world, it's a totally radical concept. But it's very beautiful, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. But think about some of these things as you have a wonderful day.